Hello and good morning. Welcome on board this sunrise safari. My name is Scott and I'm teamed up with Senzo on camera. If any of you may be lucky enough to be joining for the first time, this is 103% live. Nothing scripted, nothing edited, and we would love to hear from you. So send through your comments, questions, thoughts using the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, or just popping your thoughts in the comment boxes. So it's a cloudy morning here. It's just going to be Noel and myself out on safari this morning. The crew up in the Masai Mara in Kenya have got the morning off. So I'm happy that they're going to have a relaxing day, and we are going to do our best to try and find you as much exciting stuff as possible. I believe Noel's plans are to try your best to try and seek out Tundi, a female leopard, and I'm just going to check our southern boundary for any sign of the Sticks Pride of Lion, who may have hopefully come onto Djuma last night. Now, some of you were tested this morning. It was a test that you didn't know you were going to actually be a part of, and we're just seeing who was going to be punctual for the safari. So Chris Rogue, Rocky, and a few others caught a little sneak glimpse into the pre-safari scenes. Nikki was just updating me on all of your updates on Tingana, big male leopard that was seen crossing the dam wall to the south. And Ali, you noticed that I was trying to wake up. Yes, I was. I hadn't gone through my waking up process just yet, even though I had been awake for a while. So yes, indeed, I was still warming up, but I think I'm ready for action now. So another thing that I will do at some point this morning is head back towards a very specific tree in the hope that I will be finding you a chameleon, who we found a couple of days ago, but then yesterday morning we had a serious downpour that ambushed us, and we then had to race for cover. So we couldn't show you the chameleon then, nor yesterday afternoon, because we had lots of other good opportunities to follow up on. But I'm guessing that is still going to be in the same tree where I left it. So that's something to look forward to, I think. And who knows what other creatures may pop onto the scene. That chick was a woodlands kingfisher saying good morning to us as we drove past, which was very nice of it, I think. Alrighty then. Now, one tricky thing, after we've got a little bit of rain like we got yesterday, until people drive along all the roads, all of the sand, due to the kind of moisture bringing it together, it kind of compacts and creates quite a solid substrate, which is no good for leaving tracks on. This road, for example, is usually very good for tracks, but at the moment it's kind of like a smooth, almost cement-like surface. So if anything were to walk along, it would be very tricky for me to see the tracks, especially because it's not light yet, and there's also full cloud cover, so even when the sun does pop up behind the horizon, or above the horizon rather, there's not going to be easy conditions for tracking without the sunlight beaming through onto the roads. So I'm going to have to really concentrate this morning if we are to see any tracks. Very, very wonderful. Now, for those of you who are unaware, I'll just reiterate that it is just Noel and myself out this morning, nobody from the Masai Mara, so the safari will just be 3 hours long, unless of course something exciting happens and we then stay up and about later. I'm not sure, you probably noticed all these little bugs flying past. They are, I was hoping my spotlight was going to help the cause, not hugely, but they are small reproductive termites that are all exiting their little termite mound. I wonder where it is. It must be somewhere here. Let me see if I can hop out and find it. It might be worth coming back here a little bit later, or even possibly waiting, because once the birds catch wind of all this food that's just erupting out of the earth, we could have a good show here. Where are they coming from? You see, not all termites live in huge termite mounds that are above the ground. Some of them are just subterranean. And it seems like these are those individuals, because there's no mound, but they certainly are erupting from somewhere. I can't work out where. Again, not difficult in this flat light, just like it's difficult for you to see them, or Senzo to film them and show them to you. It's difficult for me to see where they're erupting from with no light catching their wings. Very wonderful. Anyway, good prospects for the birds at least. They're going to have a good meal in this area. Highly nutritious, those little reproductive termites. Hello Zachary, just 8 years old and already on safari, and it sounds like you love the reptiles because you would like to know if there's any salamanders that occur here in Djuma. And sadly not, I don't think you actually get any salamanders in the whole of Africa. And my mind slips me that I think they're in more jungle-like areas. I think in maybe South America, Zachary, I'm not too sure. But I know for a fact we don't get them here, sadly. But we do get a bunch of other interesting creatures. Like I said a little bit earlier, the chameleon that I'm hoping to show you earlier is not quite like a salamander, but it is a creature that I think you will enjoy if you do like the salamanders. Alrighty, well, we are going to continue scouring the wilderness for any signs of action, and while we do that, why don't you head across to Noel to get an update on how her morning is coming along.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another wonderful morning with Safari Live. You've got me and Scotty D for the whole drive today. The Mara is off on a bit of a rest morning, so I hope they enjoy. Now, I believe Scott said he was going to go have a look for Tingana, and thank you so much for sending through those screenshots of him coming across the dam wall last night around 11 o'clock. And then Ferg, who is on camera with me. Hello, Ferg. Ferg is saluting. Ferg and I are going to see what we can do about Tundi. It's nice and cool this morning, and it wasn't overcast, but now it's overcast, slightly overcast. So hopefully it means that we'll move from the predators, and I would like to see if maybe we can find her and maybe she takes down to the den. Sorry everyone, I had a couple of gremlins there. Unfortunately, the area that we think Tundi has gone into can sometimes be a tricky area for us with signal. Oh, hello hippo, good morning. We've got our big resident male hippo inside of Biffle's hook down here. So I've done one of the roads along the side of the drainage line where we think she might be, and then I'm up here at Biffle's Hook Dam, and then I'm going to go check another road. Hopefully she'll pop out, and then if not, then I'll just do a wider loop. Oh, thank you, sir, for standing up so nicely. You can see that it's actually not that deep down in there. He was just tucking his legs underneath, but there are spots in the dam that are a lot deeper. Now, a couple of weeks ago, he had some females that were here with him, but I think because the water levels dropped a bit, that they've probably moved on to a place that they prefer. And again, he's all alone, sadly, but that happens. Very humid. There's a lot of moisture in the air this morning. But I'm hoping that's good for Scott finding Tingana and myself finding Tundi. But only time will tell. It looks like he's got a few scars on his back there, probably from fighting over territories. That might be one of the reasons why he chose to come up here. Consulting detective, you would like to know, is this Scuba Steve, which I think was a hippo you all used to see around Treehouse Dam? Consulting detective, I couldn't tell you. It's a possibility that it's him. It's also a possibility that it's another hippo. Hippos will move short distances to water, or they'll also move long distances. And I know, especially when we've got a bit of a drought happening, Treehouse Dam gets very low, and so the hippos aren't always stationary there. And that young male hippo that we've been seeing from time to time, that side, has also moved off. I haven't seen him there in a little while. Now this guy's gone down into the thicker water there. Sorry, I just thought I saw something in the distance into the inflow there, but it was a log. I've got leopards on the brain and lions on the brain. Got an update this morning from some of the guys from Torchwood. The Torchwood Pride has killed a water buck that side with one of the Birmingham males. I haven't had any updates with the sticks as of yet, and as far as I know, the Nkuhumas are still on Elephant Plains. So let's hope the buffalo comes our side and the Nkuhumas will follow them over. Good morning, Lady Starfire. I hope you and the kiddos are well. Say good morning to Tesla for me. Well, it's actually night. She's probably asleep where you are, but when she wakes up the next morning. No, and I don't think, from what I can see, I wouldn't say that it's very much. Maybe 5 mils. Scott was here when it was raining here. I was in town, and I know that town got quite a bit of rain. I want to say more like 10 or 12 millimeters, but I'm not quite sure how much we got this side. Not enough. Again, we're struggling with the whole, it's slightly overcast. I can see some blue sky a little bit now. But yeah, we really need to get dumped on. So maybe it can hold off for game drive, and then it can rain throughout the whole day, and then when we go out again this afternoon, it can stop. And keep doing that. Okay, I think let us carry on so long, as not much is happening up this side, and we'll see. We'll go down the other side of the drainage line and see if we can pick up anything on Madam Tundi patrolling about. Ooh, sorry about that. Remember, with that little bit of rain that we did have here, it would have washed away a lot of her territorial scent, so she's gonna probably be marking a little bit. Not as much as she would if she didn't have the small cub, but she'll still be out and about trying to do that, as well as having maybe something to eat. I believe she had a kill a couple of days ago, if I remember the update correctly. But I didn't see where it was. I think Scott actually might have seen where it was. Alright, I'm not quite sure. A little bit of comms break up there, but I'm not sure if Scott has found something or if he is just still bumbling about. But let's head on over to him and see what he wants to tell us.
No, we have found nothing yet, but we have arrived at a waterhole just as Noel departs from one. There used to be a hippo that was hanging out in this pond. I'm wondering if it's not the same one that is at the waterhole that you were just at. It could well have moved from here to there, or it could have moved somewhere else. But I think what we're going to do is just stop here for a moment. There's quite a lot of bird song, and it was also just very useful to stop from time to time and listen to the bush. We may hear some useful audio of possibly alarm calls, or the roar of a lion, the rasp of a leopard. Nothing to see at first glance, but what's important to remember is that in a thick environment like this, unlike the Masai Mara, you can often hear further than you can see. That's why it's very useful just to stop every now and then. Cape Turtle Dove, you'd like to know if I've seen any bullfrogs this season. Sadly not. It's probably due to the fact that there's been very little rain since I've been here. I know you guys were just wondering how much rain fell yesterday morning. Like Noel said, she was away, so it should be difficult for her to hazard a guess. It wasn't much. I would say maybe 4 or 5 millimeters. It was constant rain for a fair amount of time, but it wasn't very hard. It wasn't really a downpour. It was more of a thick drizzle. So not much rain, not nearly enough. We need a proper downpour where it dumps about 15 or 20 mils in a major thunderstorm. That would greatly help. Although I guess you just got to take whatever you can get. All of these waterholes on Djuma are the lowest I've seen them. And Craig, you'd like to know, when was the last time that the dams were full? Probably when I started working here at the end of 2013, 2014. Back then the Djuma Dam, where the dam cameras, was very full. There was about 6 or 7 hippos that lived in there. I've just heard a useful report come in over the radio saying that tracks for that pride of lion that I was hoping to find are heading in this direction from not too far away. Now they could have already come and gone. I haven't seen any tracks yet, but they were quite full-bellied, so hopefully we'll get lucky. I'm just going to respond to Aubrey, the guide who's found those tracks not far from here. Copy that, Orbs. I'm at Treehouse Dam now. I'll have a close look for Mkonzo. Mkonzo are tracks. It's quite a strange thing. It's almost like a trap that I feel we fall into. We speak mainly English with just 1 or 2 random Shangaan words, which is the local language, to try and keep things a surprise from the guests who are listening to the radios. Quite a few of the radios have gone to secretive comms, even for the guides, so it doesn't intrude on the guests, but other camps haven't chosen to do that and still have an open radio. So I just thought I'd give you a little bit of intelligence as to why. And I think it's a bit of a trap, because it just seems a bit ridiculous when I stop and think about it, that we speak in English and then just 1 or 2 words of Shangaan, often pronounced incorrectly. What we can do is, I might even just have a look with my binoculars along the water's edge to see if I can see any tracks, but it's usually, the sand is often quite hard around the water's edge, or the animals like to choose areas where it's not too slushy where they drink, so often it's not as easy to see tracks around waterholes as you would presume it to be. Laurie, you wondering if there has been any updates on Shadow, a female leopard, and her daughter, not Barbara? Nothing to see there really from up here, but maybe if we were to take a walk around and a closer look, we would see them. Laurie, there have been no updates nor sightings of Shadow and not Barbara for maybe, well, at least we saw Shadow about 3 or 4 days ago. So hopefully they'll pop up this morning. I've only seen them together once, and we had such a wonderful sighting. Tingana was also around. Now Aubrey has arrived here, and it seems like the tracks of these lions continue along a road which is just south of us, heading towards our western boundary. And there still is a little bit of distance between here and our western boundary, so we may just get lucky. And I think it is going to be worth investing some time in trying to find out exactly where they have gone. Very good. So some exciting prospects, some lion tracks on the property. Let's hope they haven't crossed out. And while we try and establish where exactly they've gone, we shall send you back to Noel.
Good luck with your lion track, Scotty D. I'm also excited. Maybe you'll finally get your lioness on Djuma proper itself. I'm having no luck with any Tundi tracks up this side, so I think when I'm done in this little area, I'm just going to move a little bit farther east, and maybe she pops up there, and maybe I'll check the Milwaukee and see what's going on. We're still not quite finished with this road at the moment, so we might still either get tracks or we might get her herself, but it hasn't happened yet. And I'm just waiting for it to warm up a little bit. Toby, who's 15 years old, would like to know if any of us have any goals going into 2015. Toby, what an excellent question. Now, Toby, it's very early in the morning here, so I'm liking your excellent question. I just want to think about it for a second, and we do have a bit of the sun peeking through that I just want to show you all. Ferg, is that okay for you? And it's looking quite gorgeous because the clouds are lifting up as the sun comes up and it gets a little bit warmer and is burning off some of this cloud cover. How pretty is that? And we've got a woodpecker. Let's just listen for a minute. How great is that woodpecker rat-a-tat-tatting in the background? That's a bearded woodpecker. I actually can see his silhouette a little bit on top of the second large dead tree that is to our 8 o'clock. So I think we can... No, the other way. Other 8 o'clock. Did you see another one? There's a kingfisher. There's a woodland kingfisher. That's okay, Ferg. And then the woodpecker is just towards the back there. There we go. Wonderful little bearded woodpecker there. So we had that Bennett's the other day and then bearded. Anna Marie, you want to know if we can go past the hyena den? Anna Marie, Ferg and I went past there the other day, not live on air, but in between our segments. And there was what looked like no activity. We can try again today. Let's see how it goes with Tundi. But I think they've either moved or that little hyena cub has carried on, not on our planet, but off and away. It's the nicest way I can think to put it. All right, Toby, age 15, who wants to know what the goals are for 2018. First off, Toby, I can't believe it's 2018. Okay, flies off. Beautiful. Might get a little bit better coloration there now that it's moved over to trees, that woodpecker. I think something that I've been working on, Toby, just in the, for the past several years that I'm really keen on carrying on is just being as positive as possible and very mindful in the moment and just sort of living with a lot of kindness and love and no negativity and judgments and things like that. So I think I'm going to carry on with that in 2018 and forever, hopefully. Oh, Sammy Jane, I love when you make us laugh. Sammy Jane, you're saying you're still trying to sort out your 2015 goals, which is about 3 years ago. Sorry, I'm making the screen laugh. Sorry for yeah, it's early today. Yeah, Sammy Jane, I sometimes feel like that. I don't know. Toby, I think with the New Year's goals, I like the idea to start fresh and it's a new year and we carry on, but I always feel like we put so much pressure on ourselves. So I think what I said, I'd be interested to know what Scott's goals are. I know there's some places I would like to see in 2018. I really want to go surfing in Morocco. First, I want to carry on with my surf lessons. Second, I want to get over my phobia of sharks. And then third, I want to go to Morocco and go surfing and do yoga on the beach. That's my non-bush destination for the year. All right, little woodpecker, and then the sneaky little Cape turtle dove up in the corner. I think we're going to carry on. Thank you both for being very obliging. Ferg, that sunrise was amazing. Thank you, darling. And then Toby as well, I've got a few things just guiding wise that I need to get done this year that I've been procrastinating with, some exams and practicals that I just want to get done and get out of the way. So the first half of the year is also going to be devoted to that, but that's me deciding to be an adult and not procrastinate and actually adult properly and finish a few things. Toby, what are your 2018 goals? You asked us for ours. What are yours? I'd be keen to know if you feel like sharing them. Alright, Madam Tundi, I think it's time for you to come out from wherever you are. I think she knows that we're looking for her, and I think she's probably laughing to herself. Ooh, Nudie Cat, you want to know what is the rarest animal I've seen on safari? Nudie Cat, when I was working in Namibia, we saw a black-footed cat, which is probably the rarest animal that I've seen on safari. However, that being said, I didn't have my camera with me, and all of my guiding friends love to point out the fact that, oh my goodness, are you sure you saw a black-footed cat? Because you didn't have your camera, and now we can't look at the photo to confirm that, you know, there's no proof. So then I was working on another property many years later, and I got another black-footed cat, and I took a photo. We spent months debating over this. Black-footed cats can be sometimes confused with African wildcats. So months debating over it. So I'm still claiming my black-footed cats, and that's probably the rarest thing I've seen. Although I would love to get up into the Congo and go see okapi. I think that would be amazing. And what else? There's a lot of marine wildlife that I haven't seen. I haven't seen a striped polecat either. I'd like to see a striped polecat. It's very similar to a skunk. And let's see. I think that's my list for now. There's a few places that are non-Africa, non-sub-Saharan Africa related that have some species that I wouldn't mind seeing. Like kangaroos. I've never seen a kangaroo in the wild or a koala bear in the wild. That I would like to do. Sorry, I've got spider webs. Oh, and there's our sack spider. I was wondering who was busy making all these webs, and then there she is. And you are not a spider I really want this close to me. She's got cytotoxic venom. It eats away your skin. She's incredibly beautiful, though. And she's sitting in a nice enough spot for all of you to see. But yeah, sorry, sweetie. I think building your web on my steering wheel. So what they do is that, look, spiders aren't out to get you, just like sharks aren't out to get you. Yeah, it's trying to hide, Mickey. But what she'll do is if she gets bumped, she's obviously going to bite. And because of that, that's where the problem lies in. So sometimes, for instance, she might crawl over you and you don't know it, and you move, and then she takes that movement as a threat, and then she can, her I want to say jaws, but that's mandibles. There we go. That's the word. Her mandibles are strong enough to get through clothing. So that's where the problem comes in for humans. And you have to take care of it right away. I have a few friends who have been nailed by sack spiders before. And now she knows that something's up because I did try to move her off her thread that she was spinning. And now she's sitting still and kind of deciding what she wants to do. I am going to have to find something so sorry. Sorry, guys. Sorry, that's totally my hat. I'm sorry I leaned down. Excuse me, there's an up-close and personal view of my cap. Alright, little sack spider. I always feel bad because she's been so busy. But I really don't feel like having to deal with what you have to deal with when you have to go to hospital and take care of your sack spider bites. You don't die from them, but it is not fun. No, that's Nikki, that's okay. This is a sort of behind the scenes of of what we have to do. All right, madam. Away! There we go. Thank you, sack spider. You can enjoy your lilac-breasted roller feather and build your web down there. Perfect. And see, we didn't kill the spider. I'm talking to you, Bonnie. I have a very dear friend who I've known since we were in our mom's bellies, and she is petrified of spiders, and that spider would not have survived that. So I like to remind her in our old age that it's fine, you can let them go free. They can be off into their space, and she's really very afraid. Oh. Sorry, I mispronounced your name earlier. It wasn't Toby, it's Kobe. So excuse me, Kobe, with a K sound, not a T sound. Kobe, you say your goals for 2018 are to meet all of the presenters and to hopefully carry on with a career as a guide. I think that is fantastic. Yay! You must come do a viewer visit. You can start one of those. Ferg, what are those things that the movies do where they start up those funds, the independent funds? There's a name for it. You guys know what I'm talking about, I hope. You start up these, it's right on the tip of my tongue. You put out blasts on the social media and GoFundMe, yeah, Nikki, that's one of them, but there's a term for it and I'm missing it. Anyway, maybe. No, crowdfunding's kind of it. That's not the term. I'll think of it just now, hopefully. But Kobe, you can start one of those and then come and visit us from wherever you are. Maybe you're in Cape Town, maybe you're in Joburg, maybe you're in White River, maybe you're in Hazyview, or maybe you're in New York City or Sydney or England. I don't know. But wherever you are, we love a viewer visit if you can make it over here, so you must come. And then Kobe, if you're keen on becoming a guide, I think you must start building up your library. So there's a few books that I would recommend to start off with, and then as you get into them and then carry on. Beat About the Bush is an amazing book. Beat About the Bush Birds is there's a diker, Ferg. And maybe it will stand still long enough. We've got a small little antelope species. There we go. Usually they run away. We see them from time to time as we're driving around, but this one's decided to sit still, or stand still rather. Little male, little horns. Females have no horns. Gorgeous. Ooh. Cheetah, you're asking if it's a constant worry to get bitten by poisonous creatures, and thank goodness no, because they're around. And with poison versus venom, so poison you have to ingest, you have to eat. Like frogs can be poisonous, and then when you lick them, that's ingesting the poison. Something like that sac spider is venomous, and it injects you, so it has to bite you. And no, it's not a constant worry. I think out of all the venomous creatures that we get out here, including snakes and spiders and scorpions, I think for me, personally, the sac spider, it's not a worry where I'm going, oh my goodness, what will happen? But you think about it a little bit more because of them possibly being in your clothing. But I hang most of my clothing when I get around to doing stuff. And when you unfold your clothes, anything that's folded, you just shake it out and you know where to look. It's the same as I check my shoes in the morning, make sure there's no scorpions in there. So I'm not constantly freaking out about it, but you're just aware you're dealing with it in your environment. It's not debilitating or anything like that. And then I think let's head back towards Scott. He's got an update on his lion tracks, so I'm keen to know what's happening over there, as I'm sure all of you are.
Yes, we do have an update. Sadly, it's not a good one. The lions have just slunk through our property in the dead of the night and are now in an area where we cannot go. But fear not, there are lots more animals than just the Styx Pride of Lion. So we will continue our search, and who knows, maybe they'll pop back onto our property. Aubrey, the guide who was following their tracks along with us, is going to continue checking our boundaries further to the west, and I'm going to check our southern boundary in the hope that we may find some useful intelligence along the way. Who knows, maybe Tingana's not too far away, the big male leopard that was seen crossing the dam cam late last night. Morning Kelly, you'd like to know if there will be a sunrise safari tomorrow? Yes, there will indeed. One of us might have off. I think one of us will have off. I'm not sure if it's somebody from up in the Mara or one of us down here on Djuma, but there should in theory be 3 vehicles out and about between the 2 locations. So fear not, even though it is New Year's Eve, business as normal for us. And I think Tristan's coming back maybe today or possibly tomorrow, but I will be leaving to go on leave tomorrow after the sunrise safari, and I'm told Tristan will be back in time for the afternoon safari tomorrow, the sunset safari. So there will be a slight change in the crew. I guess there might be some other people coming back. I'm not exactly sure who. Maybe James will also be coming back soon. But some change is imminent regarding the guides who will be taking you about for the next couple of weeks. I'm seriously looking forward to a holiday down in Cape Town. It's a wonderful time of year to be down in the Cape. Good weather.
Question for the boy.
Oh yes. Now I'm told, I forgot who asked the question a little bit earlier, but you're discussing goals for 2018. So Kobe and Noel let you know her goals for the upcoming year. Kobe, what are your goals for the upcoming year? We'd be interested to know. Senzo was dying to find out what your goals are. Oh great, so you want to be a safari guide. Well, and you want to meet us. All of those things are very, very possible, and I'm very happy that you would like to become a safari guide, Kobe. You are fortunate in that this is a very good training ground for you. Doesn't matter where in the world you are, you can do a lot of training by joining us on Safari Live, which will put you way ahead of all the other people that are trying to be guides that don't know about Safari Live. And it really is interesting how few people know about Safari Live, considering how many people are on the planet. So my goal, Kobe, is to try and make Safari Live as cool as possible, so that as many people as possible will get the message and join us on the safari, because the more people that join us essentially means the more places we can take you to, which is obviously an exciting prospect. Now, just for interest's sakes, we can show you where these lion tracks came onto our property. I've just seen them coming up this road here, and a whole bunch of different sized paw prints down to our right here. Probably right below us here are the best one sends. There you can see a whole bunch of toe marks and pug marks, and it's always a wonderful sight seeing so many tracks together. Because we haven't had too many lions on the property, this hasn't been a sight that we've seen too much of. Ordinarily we've just been following this single track of a leopard. Looks like possibly one of the Birmingham males is still with them. The reason I know that is because there's a massive track over there. Where's my hand? Yeah, that one over there sends. That's the biggest track of them all, and that looks to me like a Birmingham male. Very good. I saw an incredible clip that was filmed at a lodge to the south of us of one or two of the Birminghams attacking a fully grown kudu bull in a waterhole. And the story goes is that the guide was just sitting patiently at the waterhole. The lions were all fast asleep. It was the Birminghams along with a pride of lioness. I'm not sure how many lioness. I think it could have just been 2 lioness. And they were just chilling out, sleeping. And all of a sudden, a kudu bull came running in onto the scene with a hyena chasing it. So that's the first interesting thing about this story, that a hyena would chase a fully grown kudu bull and try and hunt it down all alone. And this kudu came running into the waterhole to kind of obviously seek refuge away from the hyena. Quite often antelope will run into water if they are being chased, especially by endurance animals like hyena and wild dog. And the lions woke up, saw this kudu bull in the water in a state of panic, and then went into the waterhole after it. And they had this incredible wrestling match in the water, and they eventually managed to kill it. And then they couldn't get it out of the water initially, so these lions fed on the kudu in the water and into the dark hours. So that guy got seriously lucky. Imagine seeing that all unfold. The kudu obviously wasn't lucky, but the lions and the guests on that guide's vehicle along the guide was very fortunate to see such a crazy sighting. And again, I guess just a good lesson to all of us, that if you invest time with animals, even when you think that nothing is going to happen, you can be surprised at any second. Yesterday with Angama, the big male leopard, a family of warthog came running past not too far away from him. That could have been a possibly very cool sighting had they have just been a few meters closer to him. Okay, well, I can see something all the way down the road. Let's just stop and see what it is. It could just be a part of the tree. Yeah, it's just a part of the tree. I just saw a dark blob up there, and it was just that top little part of the tree sticking out. So false alarm, and I'm told our signal is getting a little bit shaky as we drop down into this dip, so we shall be sending you back to Noel, who is in a healthier state of affairs regarding her signal.
Scott, you and I have come up with some good MacGuffins already this morning. I had that log up there by Biffleshoek Dam, and you have your tree. It happens, especially when you're busy tracking something, because all of your senses in your mind are focused around the animal that you're tracking, and so you start picking up more of that. And then also while you're tracking, you're sort of envisioning that animal and how it moves and where it walks. So yeah, MacGuffins happen. Don't worry, we all do it. Okay, Tundi is being sneaky, as she usually is. Canada, you want to know where all the buffalo are? Apparently they're on Elephant Plains. No, I'm sorry, sweetie. I don't know where they are. They're not here. They're off with possibly, remember that we chatted, if you'd been watching, I don't know, maybe if you got a chance to watch a few days ago, but we were chatting a little bit about farther north from us. They've had quite a bit of rain up there, which means that the grazing is going to be a little bit better, so they're probably still up there, sadly. So another reason why we want more rain is we want our buffalo back. I mean, look, it's still lush and green, but it's not where it needs to be. So if they have no reason to move out of where they went to for their winter feeding, then sadly we're not going to see them until they do. And then also it does feel like every time a small herd pops up this side, the Nkahumas magically appear and then all the buffalo go away, which is fair enough. The Nkahumas are meant to be eating their prey source, but it would be nice to see some buffalo. Speaking of buffalo, we're coming up to a little mud wallow where, if we had buffalo, you might find an old buffalo bull sort of rolling around and helping to cool himself down just over here on the side. It's also a place where elephants will go to splash themselves with mud, and warthog will roll in to cool down. So buffalo get a lot of skin parasites. They also get hot. So the mud helps suffocate those skin parasites and also helps cool them down. And a wallow like this takes several years to develop. And the larger ones, you're looking at about 7 to 10 years. Oh, hello, little Franklin. 7 to 10 years. And the larger ones, you're looking at about 7 to 10 years. Oh, hello, little Franklin. 7 to 10 years. And the larger ones, you're looking at about 7 to 10 years. Oh, hello, little Franklin. and runs away. He doesn't want to be on camera today. Now, as we sit here and we're watching our mud wallow and you're seeing all the signs, remember we get tracks and signs. So just to the left-hand side of the mud wallow, there's a half-broken tree. There we go. So tracks are the prints that the animals leave, and then the signs would be something like this. So you can actually see how dark that is. That's a lot of mud that's on there. Some of it's been rubbed off by, say, a rhino, or lower down it'll be a warthog, but a lot of what you're seeing there is splash from where elephants were. You can even see with the tree behind it how it's also looking a little bit dark. That's mud being splashed from elephants. So many of us have seen on the show elephants sort of picking up the mud with their trunk and then throwing it on themselves, and that's what you'll get. So that would be a sign. Now, when it rains a lot and then the next day it's hot and sunny and then the ground bakes, what we're looking for with something like a rhino or an elephant, if we're tracking them, or buffalo even, are these mud signs. So when they roll inside of this mud and then walk away, the mud will drip off and also be wiped off on some leaves and branches along the way, and you can fully track them that side. Now, just in front of us at our 11 o'clock is a tiny little stump, and you can actually see perfect. You can actually see at the base of this tiny little stump. Do you see there? That's mud signs from a warthog. It's very low down, and that's how you can tell the difference. So sometimes you can even find little hairs in there, but a lot of it has to do with the size of where the mud is and how the animal rolls in it, and then going up the different trees. I've seen, if I stood on top of the camera that's back here and then reached my arms up, which is several meters up, that will sometimes be the back of an elephant, big male elephant in a tree. And so you can tell definitely the size of the animal that way. All right. Tundi, come out. Carrie, the Burmese, as far as I know, are about 6 years old. That's the last update I got from Tristan, are just under 6. We'll say 6 for now because we're a few months into it. And yes, one of the Burmese was seen with the sticks yesterday. One of the Burmese is with the Torchwood Pride inside of Torchwood. And then there was an update about 2 of the other Burmese much farther south from us. Mala or Londo side, they got into an argument with one of the other coalitions down there. A few of you posted some things about that. So the Burmese are not always together, not all 4 of them. They've got a lot of lionesses that they have to keep track of, and quite a large territory. So they'll be good for another few years, and then there will be new males that come through and start taking over. And that will be interesting to see. Oh, James, good question. You want to know if there's any update on Kachava? I haven't had one since she went just south of Gowrie, Maine there into Little Gowrie along the drainage line. It feels as if she hasn't really gone far from where we saw her interacting with Tingana a few days ago. Not far from Twin Dams, but on the Little Gowrie side. But I haven't heard anything, and I personally haven't seen. Ferg and I have been checking that area every now and then. So I'm hoping it means she's either gone and found a den site and she's dropping her litter, or it's possible that just because we've had so much other leopard activity going on in the area that the guys have been focusing on different leopards, which is entirely possible. And then that means we'll just have to wait for her to pop up again. Alright, we've dipped down into the Milwaukie, and the sun is coming out nicely. The clouds have burned off a little bit, so that's nice for drive, but not nice for our rain scenario. And we'll check, maybe we get something on Husana, or maybe Tundi's come a little bit farther south. Oh, Akisha, good question. You want to know if we have any quicksand in Djuma? Akisha, I've never heard of quicksand in this area, and I'm actually, now that you say that, I'm trying to think where I've physically heard of quicksand being, and I feel like it's in North America, but I'm sure one of you will know the absolute answer to that. If anyone does, please send through. But no, not that I know of here. Never encountered it this side. We have, oh, that's right, Ferg's saying we do have sinkholes, which I guess is similar. But the ground's a little bit harder, and then you just kind of collapse into it, as opposed to that quicksand where every time you struggle, you just get sucked in. A lot of hectic mud, if that that could be similar. Oh, it's a beautiful morning. We're gonna get some good bird activity now that the sun's out a bit more and it's warming up. So hopefully we'll get to tick off a few more birds for your 2017 list. Oh my goodness, it's the last day of 2017. How hectic. I keep forgetting. Ferg, how late do you think we're going to manage to stay up tonight? Maybe 10 o'clock? Yeah, about 7 exactly. We'll ring in the new year early. And then be up to discover 2018. I don't think I've stayed up to midnight for a very long time. All right. Julia, you'd like to know what the rainy season for our area is? Julia, it's now in the summertime. Our summer is rainy season and our winter is dry season, and we are in summer. And so we're supposed to technically start getting rain end of October through to the end of February, and we started getting rain around the time that we normally do this year, and then it sort of petered off, unfortunately. And usually during our rainy season, the mornings are quite nice, and then the evenings there's build up during the day, and then we get an hour sort of thunder shower in the evening. But this season we've had quite a lot of rain in the morning and nothing in the afternoon. So there's some odd things happening. But I guess that's all to do with just climate change and also just natural change in the environment. I wonder where all our elephants went as well. I mean, we didn't get that much rain. They shouldn't have dispersed this much. Maybe there was rain. Vibrations of thunder, I should say. And usually they know about the thunder sort of. Ooh, sorry, we're having gremlins. Let's head over to Scott.
Well, you've come at a good time because we are approaching the tree slash bush that we left a chameleon in yesterday. So hopefully it will still be there, but first I just want to creep up. There's a beautiful bird sitting up in a tree just ahead of us here. So I'm going to stop here and we should get some fantastic views of it. It is a Battalier eagle, and the sun's just started attempting to poke up, or rather poke through the clouds to the east of us. Beautiful. Good morning. Do you know if a leopard walked past here last night? Tingana, a big male leopard that was seen last night on the dam cam, could well have continued along in this direction. If we continue along this road in the direction we were moving, we would end up directly on the dam wall where he crossed towards us. Now, looks like this bird's going to have a little bit more of a wait this morning until things warm up, which won't take long before it starts flying about. A lot of the birds of prey will rather wait for it to warm up when it becomes a lot easier and more energy efficient to fly about, because they need to flap their wings less. You'll notice that its wings have got two very distinctive long streamers at the end there, and a big gap, creating almost an upside down V. And that's due to the fact that this bird hardly has a tail. Ordinarily, that little gap that we can see below the brown would be filled with tail feathers. But the batteliers are also known as short-tailed eagles because they hardly even have a tail, and that's why they teeter from side to side when they're flying. So, Kobe, this is an easy bird to identify when they are flying. It's probably a trick you've already learnt if you've been following us. If not, we'll have to show you how they fly when it does warm up a bit, when we get lucky a little bit later, hopefully. Because even if you can't see the coloration, when they're high up in the sky, you'll notice that they aren't as stable, you could say, as the other eagles, and they also have got a very short tail. Okay, very good. The suspense is killing me. I want to go and look for this chameleon. I've got a strong feeling that it is still in the bush that we saw it in yesterday. Often they sleep in the exact same spot in their trees that they like while they're there. Okay, so it is this bush here on our left hand side where we saw it yesterday. I am going to have to hop out in order to be able to search most effectively. Yesterday I was walking around the bush, I couldn't see it. Senzo actually spotted it first. I hope it's still in here. Where are you hiding, chameleon? Oof, it may have done a runner. Have you done a runner, or are you just showing us how well you are camouflaged? Oh no. Have you really done a runner? I just want to do a double take, because even though it's a small bush and even though I'm confident it's still going to be in here, it is so easy to overlook them. Not looking very promising, is it? What a disaster. Now the question is, how far would it have gone if it did leave this bush? Which bush did it go to next? Okay, well, I'm confident it is not in here, and it literally could have gone anywhere. So I sadly fear we are, well, not fear, but I sadly think we are going to have to attempt to find you guys another chameleon before we get lucky. I was really hoping on spending some time with it and watching it as it kind of wakes up and as it warms up. Let me just check this bush nearby here. One last quick check. Huh. No joy. Oh well. Maybe next time. It was quite a big individual, so that's why I'm confident it's definitely not in this small little bush. Yeah, Gillian, you'd like to know if chameleons usually stay in the same tree or bush, and as far as I've noticed, yes, they can spend quite a while in the same bush before moving off. And like I said earlier, they often sleep in the exact same spot. Once they've found a spot where they like to sleep, you tend to find them kind of hanging out there. But they obviously do move from time to time. Guess there's no set rules, just like most things in nature, there's just general trends. And I mean, usually during the day, Gillian, our greatest likelihood of finding a chameleon is if it's crossing the road. Whereas at night, when we're driving around with the spotlights, they stand out and are quite easy to find after dark, actually, with the spotlight, once you know what you're looking for. I was hoping to have found some tracks of Tingana, the big male leopard, somewhere in this area. I drove in the Mulwati riverbed for a little bit, where it would have been very easy to see his tracks, but no sign of him there, so I'm going to head a little bit further to the east and see if we don't get lucky. James, you're wondering if any of the reptile species require kind of external factors like a certain amount of rain before they will start their breeding? I'm guessing yes. There's definitely, you know, some reptiles that will need the rain and, you know, the effects of the rain in order to make sure that they've got enough nutrition. You know, if it doesn't rain, not nearly as much insects will emerge, not nearly as many insects will emerge. So yes, I mean, I don't know of any specific scenarios or reptiles, but I think there is a strong likelihood that, you know, certain lizards, for example, will only have enough nutrition to be able to mate and lay eggs and go through that whole affair if in fact there's enough food for them to feed on. And a lot of the time rain will determine how much food there is around, not just the growth of vegetation, but also, like I said, the emergence of insects. Just seen a tiny little spider here, and it looks like it may be trying to eat something. I can't see very clearly, but once Senzo zooms in, you should get some good views. You see it there, Sens? There's my hand helping it pop out. It's just here. Got it? Now let's take a closer look. Is it busy eating something? It sure does look like it. How crazy is that? How cool. It's busy wrapping up something or other, creating a little snack for later. Well, it looks like it could even be feeding on it now, but I think it could well have caught this quite recently, and it seems like it may be bundling it up in webbing. And that way it can just stash it somewhere and slowly suck the hemolymph out of it. I'm not too sure what kind of a spider exactly this is. It looks, I mean, it's a very small spider. Let me see if I can get onto the side of it, get a better idea. Oh, it's a kind of an orbweb spider, but it's a very pale coloration and not very big. But yeah, just a kind of further emphasis on the state of affairs with regards to rain and insects. Just after the small amounts of rain we got yesterday morning, there was a huge amount of bugs around this morning, and we turned on the lights in our kitchen area to make coffee. So I always find it fascinating how quickly the bush and or the animals that live in it respond to the rain. Okay, well, we shall continue searching here, and I'm feeling lucky. I think Tundi is going to pop up today and show us her den. I'm hoping that's the case. One last little sighting of that cub before I head off and leave will be a wonderful treat. And wish us luck while we wish you luck as you head off to the Chitwa Dam with Noel.
Scott, I also hope that Tandy shows you her cub before you have to go on leave. It's always nice to go on leave with an excellent sighting like that, and then also just for everyone to be able to see the cub again as well. We did quite a nice little thorough search for Tandy and didn't pick up any tracks or have any sort of thought about where else she might be, so we'll just have to wait for her to decide when she wants to be seen. We are in fact sitting at Chitwa Dam, and we have some beautiful hippos. The light's a little bit funny this morning, unfortunately, but their little heads poking up. Every now and then when they pop up, they sort of blow water out, and that is catching nicely in the air. A little bit of mist type features there, so I'm hoping they do it for us on camera. There's a huge amount of swallows around in the air as well. We've been seeing red-breasted swallows and lesser striped swallows. Now, I believe there was a question that came through from James about are there any reptiles that wait for outside factors for breeding, moisture and things. So James, reptiles do something called aestivation, which is a type of hibernation that happens in areas where it's cold and dry in the winter months. So for them to do any breeding or any huge movements, they usually hold off during those dry periods because they don't want to desiccate, they don't want to dehydrate, and wait for proper rains to be able to do breeding and to move around. So one species that pops to mind would be something like the leopard tortoises we see. They do most of their breeding during the rainy season for a couple of reasons. One, the soil can be a little bit easier to dig into to lay the eggs, and then also if they do too much activity during the dry season, like breeding for instance, their chances of not being able to survive long enough through that because the moisture content, the water level is too low. Especially in their bodies, they've got something called a bursa sac that the females will use to wet the ground to help lay their eggs. But that bursa sac also gives them moisture while they're aestivating, and it's also a defense mechanism as well. So during the dry season, the ability to refill that bursa sac is severely compromised. That's one of the reasons why they are aestivating during that period, and then it's easier during the wet season to refill it because it's wet around and there's rain and there's water holes. So I hope that helps answer your question a little bit. I'm hearing a lot of oxpeckers, but I'm not seeing exactly where they are. It's possible that they're nesting in this dead tree at our 1 o'clock. It's around about where I'm hearing it. Oh, wonderful, a little sandpiper. Cape turtle dove, you're curious to know, is it rare to see red-billed oxpeckers in the area? Cape turtle dove, I've seen both red and yellow-billed oxpeckers here, and off the top of my head, I'm thinking that it's more red than yellow. So I think the more rare one this side for now is the yellow-billed. You will sometimes get areas where it's just one or the other, and you'll sometimes get areas where it's both, but then if there are both, you'll see one more than you see the other one. The birds are coming out nicely. Hello, hippos. Ava, good question. You want to know how much do newborn hippos weigh? I'm scrolling back at my file 13, Ava. I want to say they weigh about 30 to 40 kilograms, similar to a rhino. A little bit less than a rhino. Yeah, that's what I want to say, but I have to go very far back in my file 13 there, so we might have to triple check on that, and I'll have to get back to you. It's interesting, Ava, when we start our guiding careers, we do a lot with longevity and weights of animals and birth weights and gestation periods and things. And then over time, you stop using them very much because it's Although it's very interesting information, it's not necessarily information that you touch on often with guests, and then I find that if I don't use my information often, I tend to start losing it. And that happens to be one of the pieces of information that has sort of fallen into the cobwebs of file 13. I'm so sorry. Are we too far for our fish eagle, do you think, Ferb? We can try. We had a fish eagle. It was here by the bank, and then it flew off over into one of the other trees. This fish eagle doesn't like to have us too close, but you can see it there. We got asked last night what bird species is most resembling or closely resembles the African bald eagle. Oh, sorry, the American bald eagle, and it was the African fish eagle. So here it is in all of its glory. Ooh, sorry guys, I'm hearing a few things in my head from the Game Drive channel. Just give me 2 seconds. Last station, come back with that update for that young Modora Ingwe. I copy you now, yeah? Send your message. Morning, thanks for that. I'm not quite sure where Mike's kitchen is. If you could give me roundabouts from Chitwa Dam side, where that is. Yobo. Copy that. Could I grab a standby, please? Thank you so much. Ah! Oh, beautiful. Thanks, Ferg. All right. Anyone have any ideas what I was just chatting about? I did my happy voice afterwards. So there's a surprise. I can tell you the surprise, or we could wait for the surprise. It's completely up to you. So I'm on a standby one for a sighting that the guys have found in Chitwa. That's a little bit farther south from here. And, oh yes, those white-faced whistling ducks are absolutely gorgeous. And it's going to be an amazing sighting. So I think maybe we'll leave it as a surprise. I wanna see how that goes. Gemma, you would like to know if hippos swim or walk in the water. Gemma, they walk and they bounce along the bottom. But that being said, I have a friend that I worked with in Zambia, and when they had huge floods several years ago, he watched a hippo swimming in the floodwaters. Swimming upstream, not floating downstream. So they do have the ability to swim a little bit. They are buoyant because they have a lot of fat. They've got a lot of blubber. But they don't, hello hippo, they don't necessarily swim well like we can, or like their cousins the whales, because of their fat bodies and their tiny little feet. But it's not impossible for them. So most of the time what they're doing is walking and bouncing on the bottom. You can actually even see the little hairs around his ears there with that backlighting. That's fantastic. Zana, what a great question. You want to know if there's other types of hippos other than the hippo that we're looking at now. I believe there's pygmy hippos somewhere in West Africa, if I remember correctly. But then as far as I know, that would maybe be a subspecies, and then this one would be the main species. Sorry, everybody, just excuse me for a second. I'm standing by. Chitwa Dam wall. Copy, thank you so much. All right, everybody, shall we go for our surprise? Let's do it. Do we have any guesses? Any guesses as to what our surprise might be? Really? No guesses? Come on, everyone. Let's play a game. What are we gonna go and see? So now I'm gonna help you all out a little bit. Oh, quick link to Scott. Go to Scott.
Can you believe this? This hornbill has found itself a scorpion for breakfast. It looks like an apista. Oh. think we're going to be able to chase it down. Hold tight, everybody. We're doing a reverse high-speed chase. It looked like an Opisthothalamus glabifrons, which is a species that spends a lot of its time after rains, especially out and about. But sadly, the dead tree that I was hoping the hornbill was going to land in is empty, so it must have flown further afield. I can't work out where. But how cool was that? A hornbill having a scorpion for breakfast. Whew. Wow. Sorry to rush you away from Noel, but scenes like that don't happen very often. Now, I can hear a grey-headed bushshrike calling. And they're very cool birds. They're quite... I think I just saw it fly. Yeah, you see the low branch in that thick green bush at about 2 o'clock cents, just on the base of the right of that bush. Down, no, that green bush that you're on now, down bottom right, right a bit, down a bit, down a bit, left a bit. It was sitting on that low branch there, but it is now gone. Oh well. Next time. Huh. Looks like the hornbill's back. Looking for another meal here. I think it's already gobbled up that scorpion. And I wonder what it knows. Why have you come back here expecting to find another one, unless it of course saw another one. These guys are quite hectic predators, the hornbills. They look cartoon-like, but they can be quite hectic, feeding on scorpions, also chameleons from time to time. I hate it when they eat chameleons though, but what I don't hate is when I hear a wonderful update over the radio waves. Why don't you go find out what Noel has got planned for you?
Have we figured out what the surprise is yet? Alright, so the Chitwa guys, of course, have gone out from their lodge, and just close to their lodge, there is, in fact, an amazing little man who wants to show himself to you. I'm throwing you hints and clues. Oh, morning glory, you're too good. It is indeed a young male leopard, and it is indeed one of your favorite male leopards. And Diane, you're correct, it's Hosana. And everybody, he is sitting in the most incredible position on top of this termite mound. I'm thinking that what we will do is I just want to give him a little bit of a different background as we come around. We've got one of the Chitwa vehicles is leaving, who was so nice to find it for us, and then we've got Cheetah Plains vehicle in the sighting with us now. And this, oh my goodness, everybody, look at that visual. Ferg, are we happy? How gorgeous. Alright, so your special treat for the morning, Prince of Djuma, our beautiful Husana. And he's not hiding like our cheeky little Tundi. He is out in his full glory, and it's still nice and cool. The clouds have actually circled back around, so we have a lot of swallows that are flying around behind him in the distance. That's giving a nice background because there's a good amount of insect activity that's happening. And because it's still cool, I'm hoping that this little nap he's having now will result in him waking up and stretching and yawning and walking down the termite mound, and then maybe we get to follow him for a little bit. It's not a very busy sighting at the moment, so I'm hoping to stay with him for quite a while. My fingers are itching for my camera. This is a really great shot in color, but I'm actually thinking of doing some composites with black and white because there's a lot of really great textures that are happening here. So he didn't go too far from where we had him the other day with his little impala kill. And he's not looking thin. I can't see his belly fully, so I don't know if he has eaten anything larger than that small impala, but it's entirely possible. Maybe he had another small impala. Termite mound's a very good vantage point for him. He can sit up there and look around and see if there's any prey. Also, he can look around and see if there's any predators around. And then that termite mound is also warm because of the amount of air that filters through out of the water table underneath there, and the amount of humidity that these macrotermes need to produce their fungus gardens that help them break down plant matter, and then they eat the excrement from the fungi that's left over. And I'm glad to hear everyone's very happy. Oh, look at that. That's beautiful, everyone. That is a stunning shot of a sleepy young male Husana. I was thinking about some of the stories you all were sharing with me the other day about when he was younger, because he had to sort of grow up a lot of his years too early without his mom, unfortunately. But you were talking about how he used to go fishing for terrapins and how he wasn't too afraid of the water, or he didn't avoid the water, let's say. But what I'm interested with is, because he was younger and he developed that little skill, I'm surprised that he hasn't kept up with that now. Like that other young male leopard I tell you about from time to time that was on another property sort of north of us, he used to actively get in even after this sort of 2-year-old age and pull out big fish, big barbel, also known as catfish. And now when we see Husana and he's killing things, it's usually something like an impala. So I find it very interesting. I wonder, I'm just thinking out loud here about him, his need for survival, and his curiosity with things that move. Obviously, when you get towards water, and you do need water to survive, when you get towards water, those terrapins will sort of dive under, so that's obviously going to catch his attention. And then because it's the movement and him being young and then grabbing it and then eating it and then realizing, ooh, okay, I can eat this, especially when those terrapins are younger and their shells are a little bit softer. But now, as he gets older and he gets more confident in himself, he seems to have stopped that behavior from what I can see, and I haven't had anyone tell me they've seen it recently, none of the guides and none of you all as well. So I find that quite interesting, just as a side note. Yes, these swallows are incredible. Gemma, you're asking if Hosana is 2 years old yet. I believe he turns 2 in February, if I'm remembering correctly. But I do know there are several of you that keep minute minutes and details about that, but I'm pretty sure it's in February of 2018 that he will be 2 years old. So if I have misspoken, you guys can send out your tweets to everyone and just say what the birth date is there. I did really appreciate the message that I got. I'm so sorry I've forgotten the viewer's name. I hope you're watching this morning and you can remind me. And you said for Kachava's mating with Tingana was the 19th of September. Those dates are very, very helpful, and I appreciate that. Obviously, they would have mated for a few days around that day as well, but that was helpful. Julia, you want to know what Husana means. So I got asked what Tingana meant the other day, and I was thinking, oh my goodness, I don't know that word in Shangaan. And then we had someone very helpfully say Tingana means to be shy. And now you're asking, what does Husana mean? And unfortunately, Julia, I also don't know in Shangaan what Husana means, but I'm sure that there's someone out there who does. If you wouldn't mind giving me a hand. What not just giving me a hand, giving everyone a hand. We are interactive. We're interactive with you all being interactive with us, but we're also interactive with each other, like so within the community, which is something that's so wonderful about Safari Live. And then if there's anyone that's just tuned in, or if there's anyone that's new with us this morning, we get all of these wonderful questions and comments through you hashtagging Safari Live on Twitter or going onto YouTube chat and punching in a comment or a question. So please keep them coming. And again, if anyone's just joining us now, we are live from Sabi Sands in South Africa. So myself and Scotty D out on drive this morning. Scott's been tracking some lions, and hopefully he'll manage to find Tundi if I couldn't find her. And now we've got Husana. Taylor, you're saying that you want to sleep like that. I'm feeling you, my friend. I could also sleep like that today. I could just curl up right on that termite mound. Not a problem. I think it's the cloudy weather. Rich, you've got a little tongue-in-cheek comment there. Hasn't this leopard been sleeping for a couple of days now? Yeah, Rich, it does feel like that because we do keep catching him when he's having a little bit of a siesta time. But again, a lot of the large cats do siesta often. They have a nice life. Alright, I have been told that there are 2 hairs. Now, whether those are hairs on head or hairs as in cousin to the rabbit, I'm not quite sure, but let's head on over to Scott and see what he has. I'm intrigued.
Well, the hairs that were here are no longer. Let me see if I can reverse a little bit. Get a better angle. There were 2. They are the cousins of the rabbit. Where did they go? Now what's interesting is this is the first time that I've noticed seeing hares out of the kind of out in the open during the daylight as much as we're seeing, and I'm guessing it's possibly because of the very dry conditions. Even though there's a little bit of a tint of green around, it is a lot drier than it would ordinarily be at this time of the year. And I don't know if that's why they're spending more time out and about during the daylight hours. They're usually more active once it is dark. Now, I came to this area to check in on a foam nest frog that we found just in this little bush a few days ago. It's no longer in there, and I'm guessing that's because the puddle nearby where it'll be doing its romancing, just over to the left, has now filled up with water. So they could have headed across there to do some romancing there. You can see there's now some water in it after yesterday's rain. So I'm going to go for a little bit of a walk around here, see if I can find any of the foam nest frogs and check in what they've been up to. I'm hoping they're going to may even possibly have started building a foamy nest above that pond. Well done to Noel for finding Hosana. Exciting stuff, and that is exactly where you're going straight back to now.
Welcome back, everyone. And Husana has not moved one ear, one whisker, nothing. He's still in exactly the same spot. Alright, so Julia, we have quite a few other viewers who have answered your question about what does Hosana mean, and Diane being one of them, and Kat in Tampa being another one of them. Hosana apparently means little chief, and that's how he got his name. Well, that's what his name means. And I'm now knowing that, I'm assuming that's also why we call him the Little Prince. And I believe you all call Tingana the Duke. What's Mvula's, what royal moniker have you all given Mvula? Oh, the Jester. Really, Ferg? No. Oh, Ferg says the Jester, and then he says he's joking, but I actually like that. So if you haven't given Mvula a royal moniker, then I think we must keep with the Jester. I like that very much. All right, the other vehicle that was with us is just repositioning a little bit. Once they've finished doing what they need to do and getting their photos that they need to get, Ferg and I have a plan of how we're going to get you some epic screenshots. So just have a little bit of patience with us, and then we're going to do some amazing maneuvering in just a couple of minutes. I'm just waiting for these guys to sort themselves out. I also want to see if we can manage. Unfortunately, there's some more cloud buildup in the background, but it's lending through for this really sort of slate gray color. You can just see it over the left-hand side of Hosana there, and so I'm hoping I want to get that in the shot along with some of the activity with these swallows. And that will be my idea of your photographic time with me this morning.